True to form, I have a question for you. Have you ever posted something like a reel, a story, a caption, and somebody commented or DM'd you and said something like, "Oh my gosh, I needed this today," or "This is exactly what I've been going through." It felt amazing, right? Like, yes, this is why I do this. And then what happened? They scrolled away, you scrolled away, the dreaded algorithm buried it. And then that person who needed exactly what you have to offer, she's gone. You have no way to reach her again unless she happens to see your next post, which, if we're going to be honest, she probably won't because that's just how the ever elusive algorithm works. That is the hole in a bucket. And today we're going to talk about how to fix it. So let's get after it. Truth time. When's the last time you raised your hands for a swift kick in the pants? Well, I'm the no nonsense type friend who's going to tell you when you have food in your teeth. So let's get right to it. This is your infusion of sacred and secular, calling you higher into who God created you to be, exploring how intimately faith applies to every part of your life, and how you can live that faith every single day in the marketplace. I felt the tension of separation of church and state. I've been one of the few women at a table of men for decades, and I've stood my ground. Are you ready to do the same? These tools, resources, and interviews are meant to do just that. I'm Jan Touchberry, and it's time to share her faith at work. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Her Faith at Work. I'm so glad that you are here today because we're going to talk about something that I feel like doesn't get talked about nearly enough. It doesn't get enough airtime in the online business space. And when it does, it's usually buried under a pile of other advice for social media like Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform just launched this week, whatever's the hot and up and coming. We are going to talk about your email list. I know, I know. You probably have heard 100 times that you need to build your email list, and you've nodded along and thought, yes, yes, I do. I really should do that. And then you went back to figuring out your real strategy, or maybe just posting with no strategy. I get it. I have been there. But here's what I hope you understand by the end of this episode. Your email list is not just another marketing tactic. It's not something that you need to get to eventually. It is the foundation that makes every single other visibility strategy that you're using actually work. So if you've been treating it like an afterthought, like something we're going to get to when you have time, today we're going to change that. It's a mindset shift. And if you don't have a list yet, that's okay too. We're going to talk about where to start. So I want to go back to the initial image that I opened with, the bucket with a hole in it. Here's what I see happening over and over again with brilliant, capable, called women in business. They're working really hard, like so hard to get visible. They're showing up on social media. They're guesting on podcasts. They're doing the SEO thing. They're networking. They're collaborating. And people are finding them. People are interested. People are clicking. But there's nowhere for those people to land that locks in the relationship. I've said this before, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's true. Social media is borrowed ground. You do not own your Instagram following. You don't own your Facebook page. You don't own your TikTok audience. Those platforms can change their algorithm, can shut you down your account, or disappear entirely. And I'm not being dramatic. I've actually watched this happen to many, many of my friends who had businesses solely based on social media. And overnight, you'll lose access to every single person who is following you, and your business goes poof and panic ensues. Your email list, friend, is different, okay? Those people said yes to you specifically. They typed in their name and gave you their email address, and then they hit subscribe. That relationship belongs to you, and you can take that list with you anywhere. You can switch email platforms, you can change your website, you can rebrand your entire business, and your list comes with you. That's power. That is stability. And in a season where platforms seem to be shifting faster than ever, that stability matters. The list is not the reward. The list is the engine. It's the mindset shift that I really want you to make today, okay? A lot of us treat our email list like it's the reward for getting visible. Like, once I have a big enough following, once I have more traffic, once I've created more visibility, once I have more credibility, then I'm going to focus on my list. But that is just backwards. Your list is not the reward for visibility. Your list is the engine that makes your visibility work. Think about it. Let's say you guest on a podcast and it goes really well. Okay. The host is great. They have a great audience. People are resonating with what you said, and a handful of them go check out your website. Fantastic. If you have a strong opt in, a compelling reason for them to give you their email address, some of those people are going to join your list. And now you have a way to follow up with them. You can nurture that relationship. You can share more of who you are and what you do. You can invite them into your offers when the time is right. But if you don't have an opt in, they visit your website, they think, oh, this is nice, and then they leave and you never hear from them again. It's the same thing with SEO, okay? If your content is showing up in search results because you've worked hard to make SEO work for you and it's bringing people to your site, which is amazing, that is the goal, but there's nothing to capture their information or it's not compelling enough to capture their information, you're just getting traffic and traffic doesn't pay your bills. The relationships pay your bills, the SEO, the AEO, the GEO, the EIEIO, the partnerships, the podcast guesting, the collaborations, all of it. It gets exponentially more powerful when you have a list to send people to. Because visibility without a follow up mechanism is just noise. And friend, you were not called to make noise, you were called to make impact. All right, let me get really practical for a minute and talk to you about what a healthy email list actually does for your business. Okay, just four things. Number one, it warms people up before they buy. Most people are not going to find you immediately and pull out their credit card. They're just not. That's just not how it works. They need to get to know you. They need to trust you. They need to see that you deliver value consistently, and they need to feel like you understand who they are and what their problem is and how to help them. Your email list is where that happens. This is relationship before the sale. Okay. Number two, it gives you a direct line to your people. When you have something to share, new offer, podcast episode, free resource, flash sale, you do not have to hope that the algorithm shows it to the right people. You're going to send an email and it lands directly in the inbox of the right people, somebody who already said they want to hear from you. That is something that social media cannot give you. And then number three, it tells you what your audience really cares about. When you pay attention to what emails get opened, what links get clicked, what topics generate replies, you start to learn so much about what your people actually need. This is market research that you cannot buy. We're going to do a whole nother episode about segmenting because that's where all the magic happens, but this is really important. They tell you what buckets in your customer journey they need to be in. And number four, it converts. I'm just going to say it as plainly as I can. Email converts better than social media, and the data backs it up across the board. People who are on your email list are more likely to buy from you than people who follow you on social. Full stop. Because they've already taken a step toward you. They are not passive observers. They're engaged. Okay? Okay. I want to take a minute here and bring us back to the heart level because I don't want to just talk about strategy. I want to talk about the why behind the strategy. And your email list, in my opinion, it's a stewardship issue. Every single person who gives you their email address, they are trusting you with something. Think about your own inbox for a second. I know some of them, like I have a whole email that's dedicated just to spam stuff, right? But my email list that I care about, it's personal. It's personal. It's one of the few spaces online that still feels like I have some control over it. And I am super selective about who I let in there. I'm betting that you're the same. When somebody subscribes to your list, they are actually saying, I trust you enough to let you into my space, my space. And that's not nothing. That is actually a significant act of trust. And I believe that how you steward that trust says a lot about the kind of business you're building. It does not mean that you have to be perfect or that every email has to be some profound piece of content, okay? It can be simple. It really just means that you're showing up with intention because you're not abusing the access. You're delivering value. You're treating your list like the gift that it really is. The right clients, the right opportunities, the right subscribers, they are a gift. And we have got to steward that gift because the Lord has put it into our hands. Your list is part of that stewardship, building it with intention, tend it with care, and trust that God is going to send the right people to it, right? All right. Now it's time to get practical because I do not want you to walk away from this episode feeling inspired but overwhelmed. It defeats the purpose because you're not going to do anything with it. So here is what you actually need to start building your list, okay? It's really simpler than you think. Number one, you need a reason for people to subscribe. This is going to be your opt-in offer, your lead magnet, your freebie, whatever you want to call it. It is a thing that you give somebody in exchange for their email address. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be a 30-page PDF or an ebook or a 5-day challenge. It can literally just solve one specific problem for a person. Think about common questions that your ideal client asks you. If you've done ideal client work, that's going to have a lot of the information that you need there. If you've not ever done that, you can find the one that I give to people. It's at jantouchberry.com/ICA, jantouchberry.com/ICA. And you can work through that workbook. But it's going to tell you what the thing is that she's always struggling with, always Googling, always asking in Facebook groups. Okay. It's going to build a simple framework for you then to take and build a resource around. All right. A checklist, a guide, a private podcast list, a short video training, something that gives her a quick win and can make her think, okay, this person right here, she gets me. That's the goal. Number two, you need a place for people to opt in. You have to have a landing page of some sort, either a dedicated page on your website where people can sign up to get your freebie. There are even some email platforms where you can create landing pages right in the email platform and use that. I know Flowdesk has that and they're beautiful. So it doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be clear what it is, who it's for, and what do they get when they sign up. Okay. Number three, you need a way to deliver it. That's usually your email platform. Flowdesk, ConvertKit, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign. There are a lot of options out there. But honestly, the best one is one that you're going to use. Okay. I use Flowdesk. I absolutely love it. You can grab a coupon at the link in the show notes for that if you want to get some free time just to test it out. And then once you have a platform chosen, you're going to pick one. You're going to set up an automated delivery and you're going to make sure your freebie actually gets to them when someone signs up. I know that sounds super basic, but you would be surprised how many people have a broken delivery funnel and don't even know it. Okay? That breaks the trust bond. You don't want to do that. And then number four, you need a welcome sequence. What is a welcome sequence? And I think this is so for those of you who've just tuned out because you feel like you already have your email list set up and you don't need to listen anymore, come back. Okay. Your welcome sequence is where it can break down because you may have freebies set up and it's delivering, but then there's nothing except random emails afterward, right? You need a welcome sequence. Okay. This is a series of emails that go out automatically after somebody subscribes. And this is where so many people drop the ball. They get somebody on their list and then it just is kind of silence. Or they send one welcome email and then just jump straight into selling. It's not smart. Okay. Your welcome sequence is your first impression. It's your chance to tell people who you are, what you're about, and what they can expect from you, and then start building the relationship before you ever make an offer. You do not need a ton of emails. 3 to 5 is a solid start, but you've got to have something. So here's what I suggest to clients that I work with, okay? Email number one is you deliver the goods and you introduce yourself. You're going to send a simple email right after somebody opts in. Give them what they signed up for. Tell them who you are in 2 to 3 sentences, okay? Keep it short. And then let them know what to expect from you going forward. Short, warm. That's the goal. Number two, tell your story. You're going to send this a couple of days later. Okay. It doesn't have to be in sequential day order. I would say 1 to 2 days later is just fine. This is where you build connection. Why do you do what you do? What did you go through that led you there? People buy from people that they can relate to. And that is where it starts. This email, you begin that here. Okay. Then number three, you're going to address their core problems. You're going to wait another couple days, 2 to 3 days usually, and then you're going to speak directly to the thing that brought them to you in the first place. Show them you understand their struggle. This is not a sales email. Not yet. This is an I see you and I get it email. All right. And then email number 4, you're going to teach them something useful. Again, you're going to wait 2 to 3 days to send this one. And then you're going to give them a super quick win, a tip, a framework, a simple shift that they can apply like right away. This builds trust fast because you are proving your value before you ever ask them for anything. And then the last email, number 5, make an offer. Send it 2 to 3 days later again, and you're going to have earned the right to invite them into something. Keep it soft and natural. It's not a hard sell. This is probably not where you're going to push your high ticket items. It's something like, if you want to go deeper on this, here's how I can help. Overall, the goal of this welcome sequence is pretty simple. By the time they get to email 5, they should feel like they know you a little bit. They trust you and they understand how you can help them. And everything else is just a path to get them there. Okay? Okay, pro tip. You can use AI to help, keyword here is help, generate those for you. But for goodness sake, edit them to make them your own. People are able to spot solely AI generated content pretty easily now. And frankly, in my humble opinion, it's just lazy and it's not good business. So don't do it. Okay. And then the last thing I want to talk to you about is consistency. Friend, this one trips up more people than I can count. You do not have to email your list every day. You don't even have to email them every week if that's not sustainable for you. But find a cadence that is sustainable and then keep at it. Okay, you need to show up regularly enough that people remember who you are. Okay, it's not once every 6 months. Because here's what happens when you go silent and then suddenly show up in somebody's inbox to sell them something. They have forgotten about you. We are so busy with and inundated with stuff, they have forgotten about you. And they mark you as spam or they unsubscribe. And it's not because they're not interested in what you do, it's because you didn't tend the relationship. Consistency compounds. Every email you send is a small deposit into the relationship. And over time, those deposits, friend, they add up to trust. And trust is what is going to convert. Now, I'm going to be the first one to say that I have not done this perfectly. If you're on my email list, you're going to go, yeah, you've gone dark, Jan. Yes, I have. I have. But doing the thing, like actually doing the thing, it's important. I know it, you know it. And we all need to make it a focus in our business. Make it the focus that it should be. Okay? If you don't have an email list, start today. Pick a platform, create a really simple freebie. Canva is great. They've got amazing templates to help you do this. And then set up a landing page. Done is better than perfect, okay? Don't overthink it. Just get it done. If you have a list already, but you haven't emailed them in a while, send an email this week. Just show up. You don't have to explain the absence or make it a big thing. Just show up and deliver some value and start to rebuild the trust by building your habit of emailing on a regular basis. And then if you do have a list and a welcome sequence and you're already emailing consistently, that's amazing. Pat yourself on the back. Your next step is to make sure your opt-in is connected to everything. Do a little funnel audit for yourself. Your podcast episodes, your SEO content, your partnerships, your collaboration, everything needs to be connected to your email list. Every visibility strategy you're using should have a clear path to your list, because that is how the whole thing works together. That's how you stop filling a bucket with a hole in it and actually start retaining the audience you're working so very hard to build. If you want to peek behind my email curtain, you can jump on my list at jantouchberry.com/newsletter. That's jantouchberry, just like it sounds, .com newsletter. And I would love to see you there. And if this episode was helpful to you, would you do me a favor and would you share it with another faith-driven entrepreneur who needs to hear it? That is one of the best ways that you can help this podcast grow. And you're doing a sister a solid because she's going to get some great content too. All right, friend, that's all I got for you today. See you next week. Have a great one. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Her Faith at Work. If the Lord put someone on your heart that you think needs to hear this message today, will you just smash that share button? And if you haven't already followed the show, I would love for you to do that. super extra points if you hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. That helps the algorithm pick us up and drop us right in the AirPods of people that need to hear what the Lord is saying to them today. I hope you'll come back for the next episode of Her Faith at Work. The podcast comes out every Wednesday. And if you look down in the show notes, I've even got a couple of free downloads for you that I think you will really enjoy. With that, have a great week. See you next time.